Hello.
Hi, welcome back to Upper Country Farms.
Yeah, welcome back.
I'm Mac,
And Jose.
and we thought today we would give you a little tour of the farm.
Yeah.
We haven't done that in a really long time. I don't think probably since last spring.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So we thought we'd catch you guys up a little bit, talk about what our plans are this year and our goals and some of the things we're hoping to accomplish. So we are a 20-acre market farm up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. In case you're wondering, we're zone 5A.
Yes.
So we have approximately 120 growing days here, and only about 90 of those are really good. The rest are iffy. But with a short growing season, we have beautiful soil where we're located.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's always trade-offs for anything that you're doing, I think. So we have about 1.5 acres under vegetable production and maybe another acre or so under orchard with trees. We have apple trees, plum trees, cherry trees, pear trees, peach trees. Yeah, we got a lot of different things going on. So we're going to take you around, show you all of the things we have going on. First, we run meat birds here. So we have chickens. This is one of our coops behind us. This is kind of our coop of just birds that have been living here who knows how long. As certain birds move in there, we just leave them in there. It usually holds about 10 chickens and maybe 15 ducks.
Yeah.
So we also do egg layers, both ducks and chickens. But I think after this season, we're going to cut out the ducks. We only have one member that cares if we have duck eggs, and these birds will produce duck eggs over the next couple of years, enough to provide for the one member that wants duck eggs.
Yeah.
It's duck eggs, although they sell very good at market, they're a hard sell to our members. Our ultimate goal is to be a member-only member-only farm, and we only want to cater to members. So we're building up our membership to try to get us there. We're currently at 60, with everybody paying full price, which is $1,000. We want to get to a minimum of 100. But some people won't pay that much, so we probably will need to be up around 125, 150 to get to the numbers we would like to get to, at least for the short term. Yeah. So behind us is also one of the 2 high tunnels we got on grant last year. We have a second one even behind that. The structure is up, but the plastic's not on it yet, and that should hopefully be done by the end of the week.
Yeah.
We hope. It's really important here with our short growing season to get extra growing days, and one of the ways we do it, we have a heated greenhouse, which we'll show you later in the video, and then these now it'll be the 2 high tunnels, and we have 4 hoop houses.
Yeah.
Well, we broke one of them into 2, so now we really have 5. One 50-footer and one 32-footer, and then 3 100-footers.
Yeah.
So let's just walk around and show you a little bit about what we got going on.
We are here inside of the high tunnel.
Yep. So today is May 4th.
Yeah.
And this high tunnel is completely planted out. We have Swiss chard and kale over there on the far side, followed by peas, interplanted with spinach, and then we have cucumbers, summer squash. This whole bed is lettuces of different varieties and green onions. Then over here we have cabbages, they're Napa cabbages, bok choys, and then some root vegetables, radishes and turnips on the far end. The last row, and then carrots, which are just germinating.
Yeah.
Then we have broccoli, salad mix, and more spinach. We have a lot of spinach going right now because it's very popular the first few weeks of market. Our markets open mid-May, so this year they start one of them on the 17th, which is in Marquette, the other one on the 19th, which is in Munising. But we've already been providing greens to our members. Our goal is to be providing greens as early as the beginning of April. This year was a fairly cold spring, so we weren't until the last week of April. That's still 3 weeks before market opens, though. I feel like we did a pretty good job. And then in the fall, I'd like to go all the way through December eventually.
Yeah.
We're not quite there. It just gets too cold. We do keep the greenhouse heated for a little bit in the spring and a little bit in the fall, but it gets very expensive to be running propane.
Yeah.
So we try to do it minimally, just as needed. Yeah, so this guy's all planted out. This we hope to eventually have one of our 2 high tunnels heated. Maybe at the end of this coming year we'll get a heater for it, or early next year.
Yeah.
Because we want to be able to heat this super early for things like spinach and other greens, and then heat it a little bit later for things like tomatoes and peppers, get them in very early so our members have earlier access to those valuable summer crops.
Yeah.
One of the things I think that we're trying to do different than a lot of other market farms our size do is a lot of fruit. So we've been really focusing on fruit trees over the last few years, but it hasn't always been successful.
Yeah.
So we've been pushing the limits. This used to probably be a zone 4 here, and now it's slowly been warming up. We're now considered a zone 5A. And so we had planted some peaches here, which we knew was a long shot, and I don't think any of them survived. This one right here has some of the rootstock that's growing up, and I think that's alive, but it'll eventually be cut down. What is nice right here is we have a blackberry that has gone absolutely nuts right in this area. So what we're going to do is this year we are going to plant a bunch of blackberries right here, because if this blackberry is doing well, we're hoping we can get some others to do well, and we really want to be doing blackberries for our members. So we're going to try planting blackberries in this area where we had attempted peaches. We also usually have a bunch of beehives here, but we had a very bad winter with bees the year before. We brought several hives through winter, but this last year, not out of 7 hives, not a single one survived. It's very hard to carry bees through the winter here. And usually Betsy is in charge of that, so she has actually taken all the hives home, is getting them all cleaned up, and we'll bring them back. We've ordered 4 nukes that should be here actually on my birthday.
Oh, wow.
So in 2 weeks, which will be very exciting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So no more peach trees here, but we did plant some more peaches that we think will do better up here in another spot, and we'll show you that later. Behind us is our strawberry patch. It looks more like a grass patch, I think. We have bought plastic mulch. This year we are going to, between the rows, plant plastic mulch. We're just learning. We have grown so fast. I think as a market farm, there's 2 ways to grow.
Yeah.
You can grow slow, as money's coming in, slowly buy stuff. That's a great way to go about things. We didn't go about them that way. We did the grow fast and let everything else follow. And I'm not sure that was the smartest way to do things. So we're much larger probably than 2 people should be attempting to handle. So a lot of things fall through the cracks here on the farm. That is absolutely not the wise way to do things. So we have allowed our strawberries. Last year we planted 1,200 and we just let the weeds take over. I don't even think we ever harvested out of this bed.
Yeah.
We had another bed that we harvested from and had some strawberries, but this year we will have strawberries for our members. A lot of these are June bearing, so we should get strawberries off them this year.
Yeah.
So you'll see in the next few weeks we'll be mulching this. Beyond that is our apple orchard, and we maybe have 50 apple trees on the farm, and it's the only tree that we ordered this year to plant additional. We do a big apple cider press party here in the fall.
Oh, yeah.
We like pressing apple cider. So while that won't ever be our focus, it's really nice. We want the trees here, plus we want to be providing fresh apples to our members in the fall. So we have a lot of different varieties. I would say maybe 10 varieties out of the 50 trees. So there's, probably anywhere from 3 to 10 of each.
Yeah.
And they're doing pretty good. They're not growing as fast as I would like, but we also do 0 addition to the soil.
Yeah.
We don't do any fertilization. We just let them go. So that's what's going on out here right now. This is our 2 hoop houses over here. They are already fully planted out except for 1 row, I think, in each of them.
Yeah.
This year we're attempting to do green beans very early, way earlier than we would ever try them. We have so much indoor growing space, we're just trying things out and seeing what will go. Like we tried peas extra early this year because we know some of the other farms do them, so it won't be shocking if they do well because we know other farms have done it and done it well. This is the 3rd of the 100-foot hoop houses that you can see here with the plastic on it. That one is also all planted out except for 1 bed.
Yeah.
And then this is the structure for our new high tunnel. This will be our pepper high tunnel this year. Half of it will be planted in peppers. The rest of it will be warm season crops. And then these beds here will be our salad mixes for the summer and lettuces, because they're a quick turnover bed. We keep most of our quick turnover crops right here close to the house, and we have 5 beds that are further out that we use for our long season crops, like corn and winter squashes, potatoes, onions, garlic is all way out there. So we'll show you that. It's out in our field. We've just moved to the other side of our 2 hoop houses that are back here. Again, that's our apple orchard way in the back. These beds here will be our melons and some beans this year. And then over on this side, this is our vineyard for our grapes. That's another area that we have not really focused on. With market farming, the easiest thing to make quick money on are vegetables. They turn over very quickly. It is a lot harder with these crops that take multiple years to get established, like fruit trees and the vineyard. You know, you really have to do it. The problem is we just let the weeds take over because we get so busy. And now I would say out of 60 that we've planted, we have this many. There might be a couple out there, but it's close to 0. We're batting 0 with grapes. So this year we brought in another 60. Our goal is to have all of the trees and plants we've brought in planted by the end of this week, and to make sure that we take very good care of the grapes. We're also going to mulch them very good, and maybe put down some black plastic to keep the weeds down in the aisles. That's the goal. I think really this year, because fruit is something we really want to be doing, that it's got to be a focus for us. So this area down in here, this is the 1 hoop house and then the 2 high tunnels behind it. This stretch of beds was the first lineup of beds we did in the first seasons. I think we ran 40 beds season number 1. Now we're running, I don't know, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's 12 plots times 12 plots, each with 12 beds, so 144 beds. And a lot of that growth happened last year. So that's again where I'm talking about we have grown really fast, but haven't really gotten the efficiency down, which is where we really need to be working over the next year. Because efficiency is where you start making your money, I think. To be this size is nice, but when you can't control all of the factors that are going on, you end up losing a lot. Like last year we had a big problem with deer, and you're so tired, you got so many other things going on, you just let the deer do what they're doing, and you lose a lot of crops. But we're getting to the point where that's no longer feasible for us. So right here we have 2 of our plots. Last year it was peas, and this again is our short season stuff, like our short season broccolis, cabbages, all of those things. The winter cabbages go out in the bigger fields. And then behind us here are raspberries, which again we have put in about 300 to 400 raspberry plants. The black raspberries are doing very well, but I would say we have not done very well on the rest. This year we kind of have an idea for the berries, because we know, especially like that blackberry plant that we have over there, they do really well when they're well mulched and there's like a pile of wood. They like to grow around piles of wood. What we're going to be trying this year is we have a lumber company around here that has a lot of edgewood, and we are going to bring in that edgewood and use it in the aisles and around these raspberry plants to try to mulch them and to keep the weeds down. We also had a company just drop some chips that we'll probably end up using too, but I think those will mostly be used for the grapes, because grapes, the raspberries are surviving, the grapes aren't, so we really have to do well with the grapes this year. So I do think we'll have black raspberries for our members this year. I'm not sure about red and the yellow raspberries at this point. I would love to, though. Raspberries are my all-time favorite thing. I love raspberries. So last year there were a few handfuls. We enjoyed some of them, but it would be nice to be bringing them to members. This is also one of the early beds we had. When we first put all of these beds in, we fenced it all. We have everything fenced the first year. And it's just a 6-foot high fence. It's got 4 foot of like a braided wire, which is really nice. And then we run a white electric line at the top. It's not electrified, it's just a thick white fabric line that looks like the deer don't seem to enjoy it very much, and it confuses them. So we have never, knock on wood, had deer jump into this.
No.
I'm sure if they were desperate, they would come in.
Yeah.
But as of yet, we have not. The ones out here that are not fenced,
Yeah.
we had a problem.
They are enjoying it.
Yeah. So this bed that's behind us is covered and will stay covered until we start planting. This is going to be our carrots.
Yeah.
And we are really working to have weed-free beds to grow carrots in, because we have struggled with carrots. It's been the one crop that we have not done very well on. And when we have them, our members love them. And when we don't, our members maybe are upset with us.
Yeah.
But this year we are planning on doing very well. Also here along the fence line we have 4 plum trees and a bunch of pear trees. I'm not sure exactly how many, maybe 12. And then on the other side of the fence we have more pears and plum trees.
And asparagus.
Yeah, we'll go over there. These trees, some of them are from our first planting the first year. So they are this year, should be on their 4th season, I believe. So hopefully we'll start getting a little bit of production, is what I'm hoping, off of these trees. We still have a long way before they're really producing, but it would be nice to get a couple of plums and some pears for our members at some point. They would appreciate it. Yeah, these trees are budding up nice. Won't be long. I can't wait. We get green so much later than everybody else in the country, I feel like.
Yeah, I think everybody's not very full green right now.
Yeah, and we're just barely starting.
Yeah.
So this area here that looks like a total mess right now is really a staging area for us. So during the main season, this table holds a lot of trays that we're getting ready to plant over the next few days. And then Jose uses this as a root crop washing area. He does almost all the root crops during the main season. I do a lot of the leafy veggies. Betsy helps out too as we get busier into the main season. We don't need that much help harvesting earlier in the season, so she doesn't usually help us till a little bit later. Yeah, so that's kind of what this little area is. Eventually we want to build a wash pack area here with a sink and a nice spray area to be much more comfortable where we're out of the sun. The nice thing about this area, and part of the reason we do use it, is because this pine tree provides a lot of shade during the late heat of the afternoon and makes it much more comfortable to work. Oh! Hi. All right, Blue.
Are you ready? Come on, let's go.
This is the area we started using in our 3rd season, I believe. Last year we had onions and garlic in this area here. They did really well. This year it's going to be more of our main season rotational crops like peas. I think we're going to do some leeks in here. Just some crops that don't necessarily take the whole season, but it's closer to the greenhouse. This is a propagation house we just finished putting up. This is the shortest hoop house we have. It is 32 feet long. And then we are going to finish this one here pretty quick. We just need to build the end walls on it and pull the plastic. This one will be a short 50-footer, and we are going to use this for things like fennel and dill that we don't plant full beds of, but that we want to have them and have them inside.
Yeah, maybe what's the other thing? Basil?
Oh yeah, definitely do some basil in there. We've already started propagating the basil. And we love basil. We make a ton of pesto. We make tomato sauce with basil. We do a lot. We freeze a lot of basil because we cannot be without it for very long. Basil and curry, we're addicted to those 2 things. So that's this bed. Then beyond that we have what, Jose?
Asparagus.
Yep, we have asparagus. And then we have, I believe it's 4 rows again of raspberries that desperately need help this year. And then on the other side of that are our cherry trees. So the back side here has tart cherries. This side along here are sweet cherries. Now we're borderline for sweet cherries. We believe though that this area is almost going to be ideal for sweet cherries coming up here. So we have planted them to give them a try. If they don't work, they don't work. We're always just trying. Why not push the limits a little bit? Because when you're pushing the limits is where you're going to end up making some money, because other people don't have the same products. So our tart cherries definitely started producing last year, and it was only their first year for a lot of them,
Yeah.
and they were already producing. So that tells you we are a tart cherry area, and they do very well. We make tart cherry juice here, which we love, and then we hope to make sweet cherry juice as well. There are more plums and pear trees right back here that we talked about a little bit. And then I think that's all for this area. So this area is getting fenced this year. So we already have the posts up for all of the additional fence we're going to be putting in. So it goes up and around, and we'll show you outside of the big beds. And then what we're doing additional to that is doing smaller fencing so that we can release the chickens in the fall into one big area, let them run around, clean up the beds. They do a great job of getting rid of the slugs and a lot of the things that we don't want. So we try to put them on each of the areas for about 2 weeks in the fall and let them dig up, let them fertilize, and then the beds can rest for 6 months. Yep. All right, we're gonna go out and see the far beds. Okay, so we'll start facing in this direction. This is just the corner of the bed we were just talking about, or the field. Then out here now is 3 additional beds, 50 foot by 100 foot, or plots. Each of them has 12 beds. Last year it was things like our winter squash and corn, and so then we're just going to slowly rotate those beds. So those will still be out here. We have 2 over here and 3 over here, so for additional 5 beds, and they're all long season crops. Things we're going to leave in the ground. We don't have time to plant anything in front of them or behind them. They just get planted. The one thing we're doing different this year is we're using plastic mulch on most of it. That way we don't have to worry about weeding, and help keep it more moist out here. It's very, I mean, this is pretty far away from the, main water and stuff, so watering is a lot of work all the way out here. And as you can see, again, the fence posts are all the way up, all the way around, and we have the fencing here on site, so hopefully this year all we have to do is put up the fencing and keep the deer out, because this is where the deer hung out a lot last year. So then if we turn the camera this way, this is kind of our low area on the farm, and we planted in a nice circle or oval or whatever. We planted 20 plum trees there last year, and they all seem to be coming back really nice. I'm very excited. We have, of our main trees, I think we've only ever lost 1 apple, and we've lost 1 plum, I think, or pear that very first year when we planted. But now that doesn't go with the peaches. The peaches, we've lost most of those trees. And we got a lot of the sweet cherries came back last year, but they're not growing real fast, so it probably means they're not very happy. We will see in another couple of weeks which ones are actually going to come back. It looks like though some of them are putting on buds, so I know some of them at least made it through the winter. This here is our mobile chicken coop for the egg layers. And then over on this side, Jose has just put out our first batch of meat birds. They're over here. And you actually moved them this morning already, it looks like. They got a nice bald spot there. Okay. And then up on the hill here, behind these plum trees, that's where our onions and garlic are going this year. We do some of our best business. The most money we make is on garlic and onions. And so this year we planted 2 more beds of onions, and we planted an additional 50-foot bed of garlic because we do very well on those things. So hopefully we have a good year again. This was potatoes last year. It's going to be our winter squash right here, this front plot. Again, it'll be covered with plastic, which we haven't done in the past, but we're going to start doing. What we're going to do now is go over this hill real quick and look at our peach trees, and then we'll come around, maybe take a look at a few other things. We do have about it's probably down to about 8 acres of pasture now back there, and while we have the meat birds up here right now, they'll be out on the pasture. We don't really like this early in the season to put them out there because it seems like the predators hit us worst really early in the season because there's not a lot going on out in the woods, I feel like. So they really are scouting out the farm. But later, like, we've had bear attacks super early in the season. They got into the chicken coop. We get raccoons. We probably had fox. Fox we get more mid-season, but raccoons and bear is early season when they're really hungry and looking for food. They don't come on the farm as much mid-summer when there's more going on, I guess, out in the forest. we're just looking. Garlic is always the first thing that we have outside in the spring. And so it's coming up really nice right here. The problem we're going to have is we just tilled this bed last fall, which we would usually never do. I'm going to wait for that wind to cut back a little. Hi! Okay, I was trying to wait for the wind, but I don't think it's going to die back. These are our garlic beds right here. There's 5 rows. You can see we have them mulched pretty heavy. And they are already coming in strong. Jose's pulling a little bit of the thick mulch off just to allow them to come up a little bit better. Sometimes it's hard for them to get up through the thick mulch. But they're all coming up nice. I'm very excited about garlic. We added 2 varieties this year, Asian Tempest and I probably won't remember the other variety. But we did add 2 new varieties just to try them out. We usually plant German White, Chestnut Red, and Italy Hill, and we've had very good luck. The Italy Hill and the German White are the 2 most popular. Chestnut Red is smaller cloves. People don't seem to like that quite as much. And then this will be our onion beds. The bad thing about these beds is this is the last bed we tilled last year at the end of the season, so there's going to be a lot of grass, which is part of the reason we are going to do black plastic over our onions this year for the first time. So this is the few peach trees we planted last year. We tried to do varieties that do better up here, up north, but they don't look like they're doing real well. They are definitely, we have some of them coming back this year, so it's not to say that over the next few years they won't strengthen and do all right. But peaches are a long shot. Even we purchased from somebody in the lower part of Michigan, and he was like, and I said, don't worry, we won't be mad at you if they don't do well. I said, we know we're taking a chance.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, if we get 4 or 5 that do well, you know, and produce a few peaches every year for our members, that'll make me happy. They don't all have to survive. And if we find a variety that does really well, we can plant a few more of those. It's just all trial and error. There's a lot of varieties of things out there, and some might like it here, some might not. Again, we have the fence up to go around all of this. We just have to put the fence up, but that'll be after we get that high tunnel done. One of our favorite aspects of this property, though, is we have about 6 acres of forest here. Kind of, it's like a triangle shape, and on a hot summer day, it's so nice back in there. We have a small stream that runs through there. The dogs love to go in there. Yeah, we love that part of our property. So, yeah, this property, one of the things we really liked about it is it has a little of everything. Yeah. The other thing is, compared to the other properties in the area, we are surprisingly high and dry. Yeah. When other properties are underwater, this one is very dry. We did have a little problem last year with a little bit of water, but I think we're going to do some grading to make the water go to that low spot we just pointed out earlier where the plum trees are. And hopefully that'll take care of some of the problem. But all of this area flows really nice down into these low areas. Yeah, so no standing water.
Yeah, in some way it's good, but when it's very dry, it's a problem.
Yeah, we do. It is hard when it's dry.
Yeah.
Hopefully with the black plastic mulch, though, it'll help this year. I wanted to stop on this hill real quick. Right here, we have a nice high spot here on the property. This is eventually, we want to have a large outdoor kitchen with a nice seating area right here where we can host member events, host farm dinners, those kind of things. I mean, our ultimate goal is to once a month have like a potluck here where members bring stuff that they've made from what we've done here at the farm. And this is a beautiful spot because it sits up high, you can see everything. Yeah. We've planted a lot of fruit trees in the area, so it'll be very beautiful, and it'll be very fruitful when there's a lot of fruit being produced. The only fruit trees we bought this year were 6 apple trees, 3 Fireside, and 3 more Honeycrisp, which Honeycrisp is our favorite. And when we make apple cider out of it, it is the sweetest, best. So we're going to plant 3 more of those. We already have, I don't know, maybe 6 already planted on the property. And then this is our pasture area out here past the fence. We do run sheep every summer. Last year we did 4. This year, I don't think we've talked about it yet, but we did purchase 5 more lambs. So we'll raise the 5 lambs through the summer and butcher them out in the fall, fill up the freezers. We really enjoyed that last year. The one thing we've stopped doing is we're no longer going to be doing rabbits. So we do have these rabbit hutches that we were running out in the field last year because our rabbits were on pasture. We have just found for the amount of time it takes and the amount of return we get, it's just not worth it right now. Maybe someday in the future we'll do them again. Yeah, but not right now. It's just too much work every day for Jose to go out and do all of that. Chickens are a lot easier because you can take care of them all at once.
Yeah.
The rabbits, each one has to be done individually.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's our pasture. We also run our chickens and our meat birds out there. And the other thing we do that we don't see a whole lot of is we mow that field and we use the grass to mulch our beds.
Oh yeah.
And it is the best fertilizer. It's just amazing what it does for our plants. So we try to do it before anything goes to seed. So it's usually only early in the season, maybe June and the first part of July. After that, things start going to seed, and then we no longer use it. We just mow it down if we need to get rid of it. But yeah, it is the best mulch for our beds. All right, back here where we started. We should have mentioned in the beginning that this is our 5th season here on the farm. We started basically from scratch. There was nothing, no beds, no previous farm here. All it was the house, which hadn't been lived in for, some people said 10 years. And then this was a brand new garage / barn built 2 years before we bought the property, which is part of why we loved it. I think part of the reason we got a steal on it though is the house is barely livable. It was. Now it's a little bit better, but still it needs some serious work, which we haven't had time for, so we haven't done any of it. But the barn is a 40 by 48, half of it's concreted. It's just very nice. Like you could never build that for almost probably what we paid for the property at this point. And it has a full upstairs in it. One of the first things we built on the property is this greenhouse. It was much smaller the first year though. We only had it on half of this. And we very quickly outgrew that. And this year we outgrew this larger one. Our germination room is actually in the house. It holds, I think, just over 80 trays in the germination room. Everything goes there that's especially warm season crops, early in the season, cool season crops, and then they get moved out here. And then we now added the propagation house that we showed you earlier, and that we need all that space. We do grow, these have dual purpose beds that we can set pallets on top of to put our trays on, or we can grow in them. This season this is going to be exclusively peppers and pickling cucumbers in this greenhouse. It won't be our regular like bell peppers and sweet peppers. It's going to be a bunch of different spicy peppers. They just, because of the amount of heat they need, they just don't grow really well up here. And we don't want to take up all of our high tunnel space, and this is perfect for that because we don't really need it for anything else during the summer. I think that's about everything we wanted to talk about. If you're wondering about money-wise how we've done, we've talked about it in previous videos. The first season we did about $16,000. That was starting from scratch with no farm experience, which I thought was pretty good. And the fact that we are far away from large towns. The largest town around us is 25,000 people. The other one is maybe around 5,000 people. We do have a pretty good tourist season, but I would say tourists aren't buying a whole lot of veggies. But we do get a lot of foot traffic through the market, and so we do get some. We run about 60 members. Is what we'll have this year. We're hoping to get up closer to 70 by the time markets start. We usually add about 10 more once the markets open, because we advertise when we're at market. And then we signed up a lot between last season and January of this year. We went from 55 to just over 60, I think. So a good addition of people. As I said before, we want to get to about 100. This last year, I think season number 2 we hit 30,000. Season number 3 we hit 50,000. Last year we hit 55. This year we're going to add some products, and we're going to shoot for 70,000. It would be really nice to get there. Our ultimate goal is to be running over 100,000 a year. Maybe not a lot over that, but enough for Jose, me, and Betsy to all be pretty comfortable. We don't need a lot. We are lucky that our property is fully paid for. so we don't have a lot of the overhead. We run very little debt, and but like I said, we've spent a lot of money and we're not very efficient. That's where our big problems lie. But we've been getting more efficient and been spending less money.
Yeah.
So we're getting smarter because we're finding that we're working very hard.
Yeah.
But we love it. We do love what we do. You know, the channel that we do isn't really about education. It's more about, I mean, if you follow us, you'll learn a lot, I think, especially if you're considering farming, thinking about being a market farm. You probably will learn a lot because we're always trying new things. We're watching a ton of videos, trying to learn more. How can we be more efficient? How can we operate better?
Yeah.
How are we finding customers? Those kind of things. So watching us, you will learn some, but generally it's just following us day to day, what we have going on here on the farm. So we're more about entertainment. If that's not what you're about, then this channel is not probably for you. But we have a lot of fun here, a lot of laughter. We try to keep you pretty well entertained. This year we're going to try to make it through with YouTube all the way through the whole season. We've struggled with it because once we hit July, there's just not a lot of time, and editing the videos, which is something I do, has to be done very early in the morning. And it's, you know, when the sun is up here before 6 a.m. and I have to edit before that because we're ready to start rolling when the sun is up. So I have to be up editing at 5 a.m., 4:30 a.m. and it's just hard when we're not going to bed till 10. So we are going to try, though, again this year to go through the whole season, because really the bulk of what we do happens between July and October. Yeah. So if you have questions for us, please ask. We'll answer them as best we can on camera. We really appreciate all of you that follow us and support us. You know, we've gotten a lot of members through YouTube. We have just a lot of great people who don't even live here in the state that support us, and we really appreciate all of you that do that. So yeah. Anything else, Jose?
Nope.
No. Thank you so much for watching us today. We hope if you are a small farm or a market garden that you'll subscribe and join us on our adventures. If you've got a YouTube or you're doing similar to what we're doing, we would love to find you. And because we're out working all the time, we have plenty of time to listen to what you've got going on. So, all right. Thank you. Again, we are Mac.
And Jose.
And this is Upper Country Farms.
Thank you.